Greetings and salutations, dudes, dudettes, and those of you outside of the dude spectrum. I'm Marlena Morlock, and to answer the first 3 questions you probably have, yes, I am a creature of the night, yes, the horns are real, and no, I can't introduce you to the big man. Look, you're gonna meet him soon enough, don't rush it. So I've been given a YouTube channel by my superiors as kind of a satanic outreach thing. Like, I guess I'm supposed to be corrupting the youth of America and China and shit with tales of murder and incest. But look at me, I'm about as threatening as Cookie Monster, so I'm just gonna stick with the kind of darkness and evil that I'm used to.
Pop culture esoterica.
Yep, this is Comic Macabre, where the worlds of horror and comics merge together like the Venom symbiote and whatever he's hooking up with this week. Whoa, where the frig did you come from? Okay, I need a bigger TV anyway. Can you, like, see me, or... Well, the implications of that are truly terrifying. And speaking of terrifying, Spider-Man. Possibly the most well-regarded of all cryptids, the Spiders Man surfaces every couple of years with astonishing regularity, growing exponentially younger with each sighting. Now, ever since I was a little kid festering in the darkest corners of hell, I've had a sweet spot for old Spidey. Over the years, he's been a lot of things for me. A friend when I didn't have one, a teacher when I needed guidance, an escape when the real world was too much to deal with, and on occasion an object of intense physical lust. Ooh. Come on, Spider-Man. Like all 90s monsters, my first introduction to the character was the animated series. You know, the one where Black Cat was given the Captain America serum so she could fight vampires with Blade, and was everything I wanted to be. And of course everyone knows about the 60s Spider-Man cartoon, aka American animation's greatest contribution to the future meme culture until the founding of DreamWorks. But believe it or not, as of this recording, there are 9 of these mothers, and the quality ranges from iconic to holy fucking shitcakes insano pants. Guess which one we're talking about tonight? 1981's Spider-Man, or Spider-Man 5000 as it's incredibly known on DVD, is on the surface a pretty standard adaptation. There are no big additions or subtractions to the main lore. Jameson still wants his goddamn pictures of Spider-Man. In fact, if things look a little too familiar, it's because it's basically just Spider-Man and his amazing friends. Without the friends.
Without the friends.
It's kind of like when Fox repackaged reruns of Ally McBeal as a half-hour sitcom with the court scenes cut out. Am I the only one who remembers that? Well, excuse the hell out of me for educating. Somebody's gotta tell these people about what Fox tried to get away with in the 90s. So yeah, normal show on the surface, but like a Mysterio illusion, it's the details that tell you something's off. Like the sting that accompanies some of the scene transitions. Sounds like something out of Ghostbusters, doesn't it? And it plays at the least sinister times, like Peter will saunter off to the bathroom and suddenly it's... And speaking of Peter, I don't think the 70s were kind to him at all. Like, I don't know if Peter's voice actor, Ted Schwartz, was just given weird directions, or if this was just how he wanted to play it.
Oh no, I'll never make it to the Daily Bugle in time for the morning deadline. And with my last $1.98 gone, I can't even afford a bus ride. Guess I'll just have to go by Spider-Man Express.
He always sounds like Eric Foreman trying to convince his parents he's not high. And then there are the plots. Oh, does this show ever have plots? There's an episode where Namor the Submariner declares war on the New York City mob because the Kingpin's super acid is polluting the oceans, and that's one of the normal ones. So what's a weird one, I assume you're asking? Come on, Marlena, give us the dirt, spill the tea, sing us a sizzling sin song for Spider-Man. For the uncut primo weird shit, we're gonna have to go to episode 22 of its first and only season, the wonderfully titled Arsenic and Aunt May. Now, why would an episode of an 80s children's cartoon name itself after a comedy from the 40s about a young man being terrorized by his elderly homicidal aunts? Television, roll that beautiful bean footage. The episode opens with that time-honored Marvel Universe locale, a gloomy train yard, where Spider-Man blinds some cops using a flashlight with his face on it. Branding. Instead of unloading a full clip into his red and blue ass, they tell Spidey they're looking for a cat burglar hiding in the area. Spider-Man, being a complete and total narc, immediately finds him about 40 feet away, using his spider sense to see inside the car. Look, if we're gonna get hung up on every time one of these shows pulls a spider power out of its ass, we're gonna be here until the end of time. So let's just set up a tally and move on. The cops are so thrilled they offer him a citation and let him dangle from an invisible platform. But this spider's got bigger flies to fry.
Thanks, officer, but I really can't stick around. My aunt wants me to be home by 8 o'clock sharp.
Oh no. Peter's high again. The cat burglar arrives at Orange Soda State Penitentiary, where he meets his new cellmate, the Chameleon, aka Dmitry Smerdyakov, aka the patron saint of fake-out reveals, just hanging out in full costume. And his creepy white face was still just a mask at this point, so it means the prison just lets supervillains hang out with all their gear, which is fairly comic accurate at least. Everyone immediately throws their supervillain dicks on the table, and our petty thief says he's related to the guy responsible for the two of them being locked up, because he wants to die. This takes us into a flashback of my favorite part of Spider-Man's history, where he performed terrifying feats of strength on live TV for wads of cash. Which, let's be honest, Fox would have totally aired in the 90s. But alas, Uncle Ben dies, as Uncle Bens often do, and our wall crawler gets his flamboyant revenge. But further alas, Spider-Man is to blame, as Spider-Men always are. And with great power comes a grade A hissy. God. Turns out our cat burglar is the cousin of the human burglar who killed Uncle Ben. And he thinks that this murder is what inspired Spider-Man to give up his Hollywood lifestyle and instead hang out on boxcars at night. Recognizing the last name Parker, Chameleon remembers that the photographer always selling photos of Spider-Man is named Peter Parker. Photos he must be awfully close to Spider-Man to be able to get. And with the puzzle pieces laid out before him, Chameleon finally figures it out. Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Our best friends. I swear to the Dark Lord Satan, the only thing Chameleon got from this story was that Peter Parker has an uncle who died, and it made Spider-Man sad. I love this show so much. While doing repair work on one of the prison's many nothing machines, Chameleon nonchalantly walks over to a grate where he's hidden a lifelike mask of the Warden, which I guess he just stashed away for when he had a really good reason to escape. And he sneaks out to his girl Friday Colleen, waiting outside in their disguise mobile. Meanwhile, today Aunt May's picked a museum to be miserable in, and she's approached by a fellow fuddy-duddy who wants to shoot the shit about their dead husbands. When suddenly...
Oh my, but that's a fine-looking gentleman over there. Oh my stars. It's Ben, my husband Ben. Ben, dear, wait, don't go away.
Right on time again, Aunt.
No, not you! Peter investigates the sighting, finding only racism. Chameleon racism. May's new friend gives her the address of a local sidekick who is absolutely not the Chameleon, before revealing herself to be Colleen, the only other woman in this story. The great mentor pulls out what appears to be a glowing Uncle Ben mask, and then... well...
I can't rest, May.
Ben? What's wrong, dear?
I should be alive, but because of Spider-Man, I'm not.
Because of Spider-Man?
Yes, I cannot rest.
But there must be some way you can find peace, Ben.
Spider-Man must be made helpless and turned over to Mentor. Remember, if not for Spider-Man, I'd be alive today.
Ben!
Backstage, Colleen fills an amulet with some of that West Coast good and hands it over to May to help her contact Ben in the future. I think in an earlier draft of the script this was supposed to be a hallucinogen, but all they say later is that it helps the hologram feel more real, so this is straight up Chameleon getting her high. Aw, just stay hydrated and you'll be alright, May. Remember, your trip wants to be a good one. So, Chameleon has used drugs and illusions to convince Aunt May that Spider-Man killed Uncle Ben, and the only way to release his soul from hell is to kill Spider-Man. I told you this was a good one. When she gets home, she asks Peter if he can get his good pal Spider-Man to come over for a visit, and the look on his face is priceless. Oh no, now Aunt May wants to nail Spider-Man. Oh, if this be my destiny. But it turns out she mainly just wants him to do chores around the house. Like replacing the bulb on the antique ballroom chandelier that hangs a few feet above her modest living room.
The doctor said one of these would make me sleep. I wonder how many a Spider-Man would have to take.
That's right, Aunt May does crime the Aunt way, with sinister milk and cookies. But thankfully Peter's spider sense warns him first, and he heroically wrestles that milk to the ground. Whoa, those are some hardcore sleeping pills. Writing the day off as a loss, May gives him the old, "Good night, Spider-Man, I'll probably kill you in the morning," and heads to bed. Suddenly, the ganja medallion comes alive, and May has another vision of Ben.
Help me, May. Help me to find peace. Until Spider-Man is made helpless, I cannot rest.
I'll help you rest, Ben. Remember our motto. If at first you don't succeed, try again.
Not gonna lie, I say the same thing every time I smoke up. The next morning, she sneaks into Peter's bedroom, bypassing his security stegosaurus and confiscating one of the many jars of sulfuric acid he has lying around. Spider-Man has acid. Let that color every story you read from now on. Spider-Man once again ignores the screams of the helpless to assist in menial domestic busywork, as May tries her best to home alone his ass. Wait, how long was that? Anyway, later, Spider-Man wonders aloud if his aunt has dementia. No, seriously, for a split second this gets real. Oh, but surprise, surprise, it's just the ghost of his dead uncle driving his aunt to murder. And since it's Spider-Man, I know there was a moment where he thought, "Oh, that ghost is probably right. I'll go hang myself."
Hey, where is he?
Well, I am beginning to understand your reputation for rudeness, Spider-Man.
Oh, never mind, Aunt May, I am sorry. But nothing will stop me from being here at noon tomorrow, I promise you that.
People in Queens are used to Spider-Man bursting into their bedrooms at night and shouting gibberish at them, aren't they? Ugh, Jameson has a point. The next morning, May receives a strange package on her doorstep and assumes it was delivered to her by her dead husband because the chronic has fogged her reasoning completely. True to his threat, Spider-Man arrives at May's, sees a cake made in his honor, and promptly throws it out the fucking door, which, Jesus Christ, that was almost his stomach. The disguise mobile realizes the cake jig is up, and Spidey ditches an attempted murderer to instead chase a shady van. Spider-Man tracks them down to Mentar's Wonder Emporium, only for Chameleon to stall him with the one weapon every hero is powerless against.
It's gas! We gotta get out of here!
But Chameleon isn't all drugs and gases. He still has one last ace up his sleeve. Oh no, not a horny skeleton. This is exactly how Gwen Stacy died. Meanwhile, at Drugs, who else would be shopping there but...
Be very careful with that, ma'am. It's deadly on more than little insects.
Yes, well, it's a very, very big spider.
This was at least one child's introduction to the world of Spider-Man, and I desperately want to meet that person and their cellmate. And wouldn't you know it, there goes Chameleon, just strolling down the street disguised as Spider-Man. Watch it, Dimitri. Haven't you seen Kick-Ass? Meanwhile... I did not edit that comedically. Spidey was dry humped off screen by a skeleton for roughly 47 seconds before whipping him off. See, this is why I love 80s Spider-Man. Name a Deadpool comic that is as intentionally obscene as this show is accidentally. Back in the disguise mobile, May's medallion starts to malfunction, and Ben's ghost kindly reminds her that Spider-Man damned him to eternal torment in the fiery pits of hell. So she just decides to straight up strangle his ass right in the middle of the most spacious van I have ever seen. Are they in a fucking spaceship all of a sudden? Fearing for his life, he pulls off his mask to reveal his true identity, Ghost Repairman. But this only convinces May to finally bring out Chekhov's acid, which hits the steering wheel instead. Sensing an opportunity to finally die, May sets off a smoke bomb as the van careens out of control. But fear not. While being molested by skeletons, Peter threw a tracer on Colleen, and shows up just in time to stop the van and pull their stoned asses to safety. He gets a whiff of the amulet and calls what's inside it hypno-gas, so I really think this was supposed to be what made her see Uncle Ben, but they also really wanted Spider-Man to see him too, so he became a projection, and then they didn't change things, which is on par with the amount of care usually given to the series. Later, Peter visits his recovering aunt, who has no memory of her lost weekend. But don't worry, she still thinks Spider-Man is behind it all. Old people are filled with hate. So, what the fuck, right? Well, the sad truth is, I don't know the fuck. Like, there is so little information on this series that the choices that led to this plot are a friggin' mystery to me. If you want my theory, I think the writers were just trying to amuse themselves. Spider-Man and Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends were the first shows developed by Marvel Productions, whose logo you've definitely seen if you ever watched first-run G.I. Joe or Transformers. If you don't follow this stuff, you probably never knew they had anything to do with Marvel Comics, since they didn't really lean into the branding until later in the decade, when they rolled out the creepiest production logo of all time.
This is for Uncle Ben, you son of a bitch!
Sorry. This episode's really messed with my head. And on a completely unrelated note, that peyote I took earlier finally seems to be kicking in, so I'm about to be going through a House of Illusions of my own. If you like the video, be sure to fight, torment, and deride. It makes my bosses happy, and happy demons don't start Armageddon. And in the off chance you own a copy of the VHS they released back in the day, yes, this was released on video, yes, it was just the one episode, and yes, it does have original art, then let me know, and hey, maybe I will send you to hell a few years early.